Caleb, good to see you.
Hey, how's it going?
All good, thank you. So let's talk about what's next for you, because obviously we haven't seen you in the ring for a little while. Looking
Yeah.
back through kind of previous interviews, I saw that you had said that it was kind of end of March, April, and you were saying, I want to be back by the end of the summer. Is that kind of still the schedule for you, or is that now looking a little bit tight?
It's looking like, end of the summer, like sometime beginning of the fall, sometime in the fall. So, that's what we're shooting for. That's the plan. And, you know, I, I haven't really said anything yet, but honestly, I've been having to let something heal up. And it's not something I really want to get too detailed into yet, but I've been having to let something heal up, and that's why I haven't been back yet. So, but everything's 100%. And now we're just, looking to get the best spot possible in the best location possible with the biggest name that we can possibly get. Coming off a loss, I may not be able to get the biggest fight that's out there right off the bat, but we're looking to get the biggest name in the biggest place. So,
Got you. I know you say you don't want to go into too many details, so you can choose to answer this or not. Is that something that has come up since you got back into training post the Canelo fight, or was that something that arose in the Canelo fight?
I'll let the world know soon. First I want to get
Okay.
back to my winning ways, and then I want to let the world in on just kind of why I've had to take a little more time off. And until then, I just want to keep it under wraps and just keep doing what I'm doing and stay focused, keep working.
hmm there was some talk about Anthony Durrell and you, and that kind of being a done deal already. That was kind of the talk in boxing media. How close is that to being a deal, or are we not even there yet?
That's not a done deal yet, but like I said, we're looking to get the biggest name possible and get in the biggest place possible, the biggest venue as possible. So, I feel like I got a lot of momentum coming off the Canelo fight, even though things didn't go my way. And, we were disappointed with that. But, I feel like I showed the world that, I'm right there at that world class. Well, I am at that world class level, but I'm right there at that, all time great level. It's just I got clipped with a shot, got caught with a shot late in the fight. And, so now we're just looking to move on to what's next.
There's always that question, right, after a loss in terms of how you come back. Do you come back with a tune-up fight to make sure that you kind of get back to winning ways, like you said, and then go into a really big fight? But you saying that you want the biggest name possible kind of suggests that you're not looking for a tune-up. Is that right?
Yeah, I don't want just some easy no name. You know what I'm saying? I want something that's going to push me. I want something that the fans can enjoy and something that's going to, give me even more momentum stepping back into, the biggest fight I can get after that. So, like I said, coming off a loss, we may not be able to get the biggest fight right off the bat. I understand that I have to work my way back. And that just comes with the territory. But that's something I'm prepared to do and something that I want to do. And so, like I said, just looking to get, the biggest fight that we possibly can. And then right after that, just moving on to bigger and better things.
The fight against Canelo was back in November, right? So that's quite a few months now that you've been out the ring. You're somebody who always seems to be in the gym, seems to want to be active regularly. How's that time off been for you?
I mean, obviously not being in the ring under the bright lights has been, that's not a perfect scenario. But as far as like being in the gym, I've been in the gym, strength and conditioning with Coach Wade and in the boxing gym multiple times a week, 2 or 3 times a week, multiple times with Coach Wade. I'm running. I'm doing everything I need to. My weight's been in check. I keep my weight in check year round, so that's never an issue. And so I've been diligent with my craft, working on things, some of the things that we've always worked on, and then obviously tighten some things up that we feel like we can get better at. So, I've diligently been in the gym, training and working, I mean, 6 days a week for months.
Mm-hmm. The Canelo fight it was November 2021. You go into that fight, you're undefeated. You got the IBF belt, so you're world champion. But you take your first loss. From what you said, it sounds like you have watched the fight back. Did it take you a minute to get to that point that you wanted to watch the fight back?
No, I feel like when people don't want to watch the fight or no, I haven't seen it yet. That's pride. That's the pride getting in the way. And the only way to get better, the only way to use that opportunity, it's opportunity to use that as a lesson and to get better from that. So instead of crying or complaining or making excuses on, why this happened or why that happened, or no, I don't want to watch it because it hurts my feelings, or something silly like that. We just need to go on and get right to it and dissect things and pick them apart and see what we can get better at, and point out where we did good at and point out where we can get better at. So.
So what do you dissect from that fight? Are there moments that you look at and you kind of think, man, I wish I had that back?
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that I was winning up until, that I got clipped. I felt like I was winning 6-4. It could have been anybody could have had a 6-4 either way. They could have had a 5-5.
Mm.
And that's a close fight going into the 11th round. So especially with all of Canelo's experience, that's something that you can't buy. That's something that you can't train for. So getting that piece of experience and being able to move forward with that, that's something I keep in my tool belt and something that'll come in handy. So where are some of the things that we can get better at, but we weren't far off. We were, like I said, in my eyes, I was up 6-4. I had some of my other close people tell me that it could have been 6-4 his way, but either way, going into 11th round, that's a razor thin close fight. So just continuing to work on my craft and get better, and I'm gonna be back soon. So
the way you talk about it's a super healthy mindset, right? To be able to kind of rewatch a fight that you've taken the loss and then just figure out, what do I need to improve on? What do I work on? Is it hard though? Especially in this era, right, where being undefeated, where having the O at the end of your record is so important. Is it hard to kind of not allow a loss to affect your self-belief?
I mean, not really, because it's not like I went out there and embarrassed myself, or I was just getting beat up, or hadn't went around, or a situation like that. If I had just went out there and got knocked out in the first round, or just got tore up from the first round on, I'm not sure. Maybe that'd be a different scenario. But with the fight ending up how it ended up, and with the success that I had, it was disappointing because I didn't come to do good. I didn't come for it to be a good fight. I came to win. So that was disappointing. But I gained a lot of fans. I was able to show and prove myself that I'm not scared of anybody. I'm not scared to go out on my shield. I'm not scared to lay it all on the line. I'm not scared to step up against the best. And regardless of what the rest of the world thinks, I'm not scared to still believe in myself. So it just ensured us that, we're right there at it, and just got clipped with a shot late in the fight. And, anybody can get clipped. Roy Jones has been clipped. Muhammad Ali's been clipped. Roberto Duran's been clipped. And it's not like I'm getting clipped. I got clipped by some bum or somebody that nobody knows. It's by somebody who's probably going to go down as an all-time great. So I know that I'm right there at that level. My team knows I'm right there at that level, and I just got caught with a good shot, and we just got to bounce back and get back to it.
How did it feel when you watched him then get beaten by Bivol the next fight?
Yeah, it hurt a little bit. Yeah, just some of the things. It wasn't my best camp with the Canelo fight. There were some interruptions amongst camp that were disappointing, but to see him go out there and do that, it was like, man, I wish that could have been me. But that's part of the sport. When two great fighters get in there with somebody, most of the time somebody's got to come in with the short end of the stick. And so, but just use it for motivation. Get back in the ring and get back to it, like I said. So
you mentioned the camp. I thought it was really interesting that you brought Andre Ward in for that camp and kind of mix things up a little bit. What did you take from that experience of having him in camp? What was kind of the most important thing that you learned from him, maybe?
Not as much just brought him into camp, but just took some time to go out there to talk with him and Virgil. Okay. And Dre's always been somebody that I could reach out to with any questions I have, and he's good at either letting me know that I'm already, most of the time he's letting me know that I'm already heading in the right direction, or he may tweak something a little bit, and that's from things that have to do in the ring, out of the ring, camp scenarios, all types of stuff. So it was good to, he's got a lot of experience at that big stage and on that level. And so just to go out there and get some work with him and Verge, it was a great thing. And there were some tricks and some tips that I definitely picked up on and learned, and that, I'm going to continue to put in my camps. And, I'll leave those conversations between us and some of those things that he told me. I'm going to leave that between us just out of respect. But, Dre, he's a great guy. And, obviously congrats to him on becoming, getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's well earned, it's well deserved, and I just appreciate him and Burge. He's a boxing fan, so he keeps an eye on the next up and coming talents and the young guys, and so I just him seeing me with my discipline and my hunger and my diligence and how disciplined I am in the gym and with my lifestyle and how I live and how I train. I don't think he's just gonna give anyone, a bag of tricks that he doesn't feel like respects the sport. And
right.
But he knows that I respect the sport and that I'm a student student of the game. And so just a mutual respect for each other, and, me reaching out, and, him just, accepting that.
I know that you've kind of spoken openly about the fact that you want the rematch, right? You'd love to get another pop at Canelo. You strike me as somebody who always kind of has a game plan of like, where are you getting to and how do you get there? What's your plan in terms of how do you get that rematch? Who do you have to beat to be able to get that?
Off a little bit of a layoff and coming off a loss, just coming out with the biggest name that I possibly can to let people, not only myself to push myself, but to let the fans know and the boxing world know that I'm not here to play. I'm not here to take my time. I want to get right back to it. And so, the first step would just be doing that. And then after I do that successfully, move into the biggest fight that's out there, whether that's Charlo, whether that's David Benavidez, and just clearing out the rest of the division. And I'm making myself clear, whether that's Charlo, whether that's David Benavidez, as soon as I get this next win, I'm going to be stepping right to them. So when one of those fights gets made, you heard it from me first, that I'm the one who's reaching out to make these fights happen. These are the fights that I want to happen. These are the fights that boxing deserves, the fans deserve. And so I'm going to be, pushing for those fights to make those fights happen.
So that's interesting, right? Because it's not that long ago that Jose Benavidez Sr. put out there that their camp had reached out to you and offered you a fight against Benavidez, against David in September 2022. You said it was capped. Well, so what did happen?
I mean, I don't know. They never reached out to me. They never got a hold of me. I mean, me and him and me and Luis de Cubas and their team, they work closely together. So Luis said that was not true. And as far as I know, no one had reached out to me. So we have, the same handler. So I think what they do is, before other people get a fight, they'll have a fight in line, and then they'll say, other fighters will have a fight in line, and then they'll say that, oh, I'm supposed to fight him next. And so when it doesn't happen, it's like they try to make it seem like other fighters are ducking. But, I can't speak for anybody else. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm not ducking anybody. I'm not dodging anybody. I'm pretty sure if I fight, Canelo, who is accomplished what he's accomplished, then I'm obviously not scared to get in there with anybody else in the ring. Stepping up and fighting someone like Jose Uzcategui with only 17 fights to win a world title, coming in as an underdog to win a world title. How many of them have won a world title coming in as an underdog? So I'm not scared to fight anybody. I'm not ducking or dodging nobody. And like I said, I've just made myself clear. As soon as I get this fight out the way and handle my business with whatever's next, I'm going to be stepping right to one of them. And it's up to them to, oblige and make that fight happen. So
I think those are two of the fights that boxing fans really want to see at 168, right? Is both Benavidez and Charlo against you. I think as a fan as well, you look at it and you think, well, these ones should be easy to make because everybody's on the same side of the street. Do you see anything that could possibly get in the way of those fights being made?
I don't know. I can't tell you all the details of what it would take to get that fight made, but those are my plans, and that's what I want to move forward with, is getting this fight up out the way with the biggest fight that I could possibly get and making the biggest fights happen, whether that's Charlo, whether that's David Benavidez. Those are my plans. That's me and my team's plans. And so you can just expect it.
Who of those two would you most enjoy beating or putting a beating on, David Benavidez or Jermall Charlo?
I mean, emotionally, probably David, just from all the things that he's had to say in the past about me, and, him and his team, mentioning my daughter and the things that they said about, I've said it before, when men go off to war, they leave women and children at home. So when you're speaking on my daughter's name, someone who's not even here anymore, that's a different level. But as far as for my career and as far as like for what I want to accomplish in this sport, I'm trying to get both of those names up out of here. So whoever it is first, it doesn't matter. Whoever it is last, it doesn't matter. Who I want to beat up more, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, my goal is to put myself down as a great and to clear out this division and be remembered as a great. And, it's not just, I can't just do that by beating one of them. I need to beat both of them. And so that's what I'm going to do.
Who do you think gives you a tougher fight, Jermall Charlo or David Benavidez?
I don't think neither one of them can fuck with me, so it really don't matter to me. Like, as far as skills, I don't think neither one of them can fuck with me. So
you don't think one of them is a more challenging fight in other ways, in terms of power or aggression?
Sure, styles make fights, so something troublesome may come with one of those styles, and something about the other one's style may be more troublesome. But at the end of the day, like, I just don't think neither one of them can fuck with me. Like, and they can't outbox me. They're not smarter than me. They're not more diligent with me with their training. They're obviously not more disciplined than me. You know, I don't show up on TV drunk. I don't miss weight. I don't test positive for cocaine. I don't miss fights. I don't lose belts on the scale. If I'm gonna lose a belt, it's gonna be by another man. You know, Custom Motto said, "Who worse of an opponent to lose to than to lose to yourself?"
Mm.
So I'm never gonna be someone who beats myself. If you want to beat me, a motherfucker gonna have to do it in the ring because I'm not. I live my life too carefully and too smart, too diligently. I plan too well to let something silly like that happen to me. So
How do you think they measure up against one another if they were to fight each other?
they probably both lose. I don't know.
Well, you're going to say they probably both lose.
Probably both lose. Yeah, I don't know. They can figure that out. Ain't none of my business.
All right. You're talking about wanting to clear out the division. That's your ultimate aim. Have you given yourself kind of a time frame? Is there a period of time that you want to stay at 168 and then move up, or do you see yourself as a lifer at this division?
You know, as of now, I see myself being here for a long time. It's not like it's difficult for me to make weight, or anything like that. So I'm gonna be here long enough to clear out the division. And for any top middleweights who wind up moving up to make great fights, I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be right here. So
You mentioned the title win against Uzcategui and going into that as the underdog. I guess I'm interested. Do you consider that your kind of your proudest moment in boxing, or what's your proudest moment in boxing been so far?
yeah, I mean, I would say Jose Uzcategui winning a world title, being an underdog, only doing it with 17 fights. I guess now people like Shakur and some of these younger guys are stepping up with not as many fights, but as far as like for the people who are just a little bit older than from my, generation or whatever you want to call it, you don't really see too many people stepping up with 17 fights to fight for a world title and doing it in such a, on paper, evenly matched fight. Obviously that fight wound up not being
You
close.
talked about the discipline that you live with. Is there anything that's kind of tough about the life of being a fighter for you?
I mean, I guess quote unquote difficult and hard, you could look at it as that, but it's something that I enjoy. I love this. I love the sport. I love everything about it. I love what comes with it. I love, you know, I enjoy doing those things. So it's not something that's like hard for me or something that I hate or I hate doing this, I hate doing that. I enjoy those things. I enjoy those aspects of the sport. So it's not really like something that I have to force myself to do or push myself super hard to do. A lot of that stuff just comes natural as far as like me liking it. I wouldn't say natural. My father, he pushed me really hard as a kid. He was on me crazy hard, crazy hard. And so I think a lot of that just stuck with me as a child. Just, how hard he was on me. And then obviously like seeing my grandfather and how hard he worked, I think those things just rubbed off on me. And, my dad always preaching to me and just telling me in my ear, whatever you're not willing to do, there's somebody else out there that is willing to do it. So me just not wanting anybody to be better than me at any of those aspects, I took that to heart.
There was a lot of talk when you fought Canelo about the size of the paycheck that you were getting, right? And I think it's always super commendable. You have to respect it when someone gets themselves into a position that they can make life-changing money, especially coming from, a tougher background where you didn't grow up with those privileges. To now have gotten to this point, does it affect the hunger in any way? Because that's always one of those things that people talk about in boxing, right? It's hard to stay hungry.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on what you're doing it for. If regardless of what you're doing it for, a lot of fighters, they do come from humble beginnings. But if that's your main reason that I'm doing this to become financially stable, then once you become financially stable, you probably would lose some of that hunger and that drive. But when your goal is solely to be remembered as one of the best warriors to ever live, or to be one of the best warriors of this generation, or to be, one of the best boxers to ever go down in history, I mean, you're not really focused on the money part. You're focused on the long-term goal. And so just me and my dad always, not so much focusing on the money, but on what happens inside the ring, focusing on that and the things that we want to accomplish there. And because I haven't accomplished all those things, I'm training just as hard. I'm just as diligent. I'm just as disciplined. And it's not harder for me to do those things because I'm not doing this to be Instagram famous or to be famous or to, we all do it for money to an extent, but that's not my reason why. That's not why I box. That's not why I'm doing this. So for me, it doesn't get harder as I move along in my career to do those things. No.
You mentioned your dad a lot. We obviously all see him now when you fight, and he's part of your team. Has he been part of your boxing journey from the very beginning?
Yeah, he's the one who started me. He was a fighter when he was younger, and he was never pro, but he did fight on ESPN twice. And
Oh, he did?
so yeah, so it was easy for him to open that door for me as a child, and introduce me to that. And then as soon as I started, I loved it, and that's really all I wanted to do. And I've really been obsessed with it ever since.
So hang on, he was never a pro, but he fought on ESPN, so they were showing amateur fights at the time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And do you know what it was about boxing? Well, first of all, why did he take you to boxing? Why not, for example, kickboxing, if that was something he used to do
that's
as
what
well,
he did.
right?
He was a kickboxer, yeah.
Okay.
So that's what I started off doing when I was a kid.
Oh,
And
you did start in that. You started in mine.
yeah. It's like full contact kickboxing. It's like amateur boxing, but you got to throw 6 kicks above the waist per round, and like no clinching or no knees, no elbows. It's literally just like amateur boxing, but you got those 6 kicks above the waist per round. And I have 5 world titles and 9 national titles in that. And like one weekend, my dad would take me to like a kickboxing tournament. The next weekend, my dad would take me to a 3-day boxing tournament in Lexington, Kentucky, or then he would drive me to Colorado, Chicago for a fight. I mean, he was just driving me all over the country in his little pickup car. And that's really, how it started out for me as far as like boxing and kickboxing at the same time.
Did you always know that boxing was the world that you felt more comfortable in, or maybe where you felt that you could shine more?
Yeah, I always liked boxing more. Even like I started kickboxing at the very first, and I wasn't even boxing yet. But I always liked the boxing aspect of it more. Then my dad just started giving me boxing fights to help my kickboxing out, to make me a better kickboxer.
Uh-huh.
But then as soon as I started that, I'm like, man, I really love this, and I just kept going back and forth, getting all this experience, and but then it got to the point where I was like, all I really want to do is box. I really don't want to do this anymore.
So you grew up in Ashland City in Tennessee. How do you look back on your childhood? Like, what do you remember about it?
Some good moments, some bad moments, like a lot of childhoods, I guess. Just I don't know. That's a lot.
You grew up with your little sister?
Mm-hmm. Yep, Madeline.
And your dad was obviously super present as well. Was he a role model for you?
Yeah, absolutely. For me and my sister, just we were in a difficult, stressful situation at home, and just for him to hold it together so well and to be working so hard, and to make sure he was so present in me and my sister's life. I mean, it meant a lot to us, and he would work a lot, and so me and my sister, we would go stay at my grandparents a lot. So me and our grandparents are super close, and they live like a mile down the street. So we was over there like all the time, staying with them, and but yeah, definitely look at him as a role model and somebody that I wanted to be like growing up. Like I said, him and my grandfather, seeing them work so hard and to try and do what they could for their families, definitely rubbed off on me.
Mm-hmm. So from what I read about kind of the environment that you grew up in, obviously there was a lot of poverty, right? And that can often lead to, whether that's criminality or substance abuse, those kind of environments. Why do you think you stayed away from that? Why were you so focused from so young? Because that's hard, right? And it's rare.
Yeah. I mean, I come from a real rural area out in the country. And so, those coming from a place like that, it may not come with everything that maybe kids in the inner city have to deal with, but there's things, coming from a place like that you do have to deal with. For one, there's not as many resources. And two, you see a lot of like meth and heroin and pill abuse, where I'm from, out in rural areas like that. And so, I just kind of seen early on, obviously with my mom and stuff like that. So just not wanting to end up in that predicament and not want to, end up like that. And I knew that if I got off, I did get off down the wrong road, but I didn't get too far down there. Or, with the things that I did do, I was, blessed by God to never get in trouble and to never get, caught, I guess you want to say. But, my dad just staying in that gym, it definitely kept me out of trouble. And I just knew that, if I quit, then my life's going to be like this forever. I'm going to have to deal with these things forever. But if I stick with this, if I keep working hard, I just had this crazy strong feeling in my gut, like there's no way that this won't happen. I just had something, I don't know what it was, but just this crazy strong feeling in my gut, like I know this is going to work out, and all I got to do is just keep working towards it. And regardless of what pops up, just keep, putting one foot in front of the other and keep stepping towards it, keep marching towards it. And that, one day it's going to work out.
So from crazy young like that, you had that kind of like bigger picture and vision of this is my route to somewhere different, to a different lifestyle.
Yeah. Since like 10 years old, like 10 years old,
wow.
I just knew that this is like all I wanted to do. And I knew that it would work out. And there is no boxing culture where I'm from. There is no, my grandpa and my dad scrounged up together, and mostly my grandpa was able to give him a little bit of money for him to open up this really little gym where we're from. And it was just a white tile floor. And I spoke on a little bit at the press conference for the Canelo fight, but it was just like a white tile floor. And then it was big enough to have like one heavy bag in the corner. And then instead of a ring, it was just tape on the floor in the shape of a square. And when people spar, just stand around and hold hands. It gets sweaty and people slip and fall and on the hard tile and stuff like that. But I didn't need there to be a boxing culture there. I didn't need people from my city or my town that looked like me, who were already doing it and being successful at it. I didn't need people like that in my life to know that, oh man, well, if they did it, I could do it too. I just had this strong feeling like it doesn't matter that there is no boxing culture. I know that I can, I look at people like Roy Jones or Floyd Mayweather as a kid, and I'll be like, I know I can do that. I know I can be on that stage. I know I can be a world champion. And I don't know where the feeling came from, but I just knew in my heart that no matter what, like I was going to make it to that stage.
Who did you idolize in boxing then? Was it those two for you? Was it De La Hoya and Mayweather?
Floyd, James Toney, Sugar Ray Leonard, Terry Norris, just all of them really. I was just infatuated with just everything, about all the great pros. And so I was just studying all of them, looking at film, looking at documentaries on them, looking at, just anything I could find on the computer, and just studying them like crazy, just watching everything I could find.
You said one thing a second ago. You talked about fighters that look like me. You talking about being white?
I mean, well,
it's true though, right? That there aren't that many like world-class white American fighters. Like you don't see a lot, especially look around now, who are the big names in America.
I guess in that moment, more so what I meant was someone who came from where I came from.
Got you.
Oh,
okay.
Here's Johnny Boy. He's from where we're from. He became a professional. These are the steps he took. He signed with this guy. This is how he trains. This is how he lives. I see him do his road work like this. I see him spar like that. I didn't have any of that, but yeah, I guess, also what you said, just, it can mean that as well. What you just said. Yeah. Growing up, not seeing, I didn't really see a whole lot of, Caucasian American fighters. So yeah, I get in that way as well, like not seeing someone who looked like me in that way where I could be like, oh, because he done it, I can do that too. I also, in the way that you just named as well, like I didn't need that. I didn't need to see someone who looked like me as far as skin color or ethnicity or whatever you want to call it to know that I could be on that level doing those things. And, I feel like I got my own style as well. I may not fit the description of a white Caucasian and, my fighting style, but that's the style that my dad taught me. That's the style that, to the other trainers that he brought me to, maybe like in downtown Nashville, that was the style that they taught me. The name of the game was to hit and not get hit. So, and then when I would watch my favorite fighters like Floyd, like Andre Ward, like James Toney, I didn't see them guys taking a whole lot of punishment. People like Roy Jones and Sugar Ray Leonard, obviously they've been in some tough fights, but that wasn't the name of their game, was to take two to give one or to take one to give two. It was to hit, not get hit. And that's the golden rule in boxing. So that's what my father raised me to fight like.
You're right about stylistically, and it's one of those things that people say about you, right? People will say, oh, he fights like a black fighter. How do you take it when people say that? You feel like, is it disrespectful, or how? Like, what does that mean to you?
They mean well, obviously, but that's not a color. The golden rule in boxing is to hit and not get hit. And that doesn't come with a color or ethnicity or background or religion. That's just the name of the game as far as what I've been taught, the school that I grew up under. So yeah, I mean, maybe I don't, but it's 2022. We don't have to fit every stereotype that everybody is labeled on us. And, when people say that, it is a bit of a backhanded compliment because you don't have to be. Especially, we should be breaking those stereotypes. So, like as far as what you just said, like you don't have to be black to fight like that, or you don't have to be white to fight like this. Just like you don't have to be any color, any ethnicity or religion or background to be able to accomplish this or to accomplish that or to be able to do this good or to be able to do that good. I don't think that that's fair to put somebody in a box and tell them what they should be like or how they should walk. Or I may not fight like quote unquote not every other Caucasian white American, but there's a lot of slick Caucasians, that I've come across. I have a lot of amateur experience and I've seen some guys who are really slick that do look like me. But, I'm trying to break those stereotypes moving forward that, you don't have to be this or that to be able to accomplish this or that. So.
Mm-hmm. When was it you turned pro? It was 2014. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So were you signed by Al Heyman at that point, or when did you get signed by Al?
Yeah, I was signed with Al like right out of the gate. So
what did that mean to you?
It meant a lot. I signed with Luis and Al right out of the gate, and but I had worked really hard for that moment. And honestly, like I had a few, I won't say no names because I don't want to do that to nobody. But I had a few people looking at me, wanting to sign me, interested in me, talking with me and my dad. And then I had my daughter Aaliyah, and she had the things that were going on with her, and I guess word got out, and all of a sudden nobody would call me back, nobody would get back to me, nobody would pick up my calls or anything like that. And
well, you felt like that was related to the situation at home with your daughter and her health?
Yeah, most definitely I do, because they were interested. And it's not like anything changed with my boxing ability. Nothing changed with my, I'm still able to do all the same things I was doing now. The only, part that had changed was the fact that I had a daughter now, and she had, the things going on with her and stuff like that. And so that was difficult because for a time it's like I just couldn't get nobody to pick up. And I had Luis's number, but I couldn't find it at first. And so, I'm this young kid. I'm just a baby, really. I'm 20, 21 years old. I got this kid. I got to start making some money. So I was working like little odd and end jobs, landscaping. And I worked at a steel factory for a little bit. I hated that, so I quit. But the landscaping, that was tough, digging holes in the dirt all day and then going to the gym and training and doing everything with Aaliyah. And so, but then I finally found his number. I called him, and as soon as I called him, they were ready to move forward with it. And, it meant a lot that even in that moment of people like giving up on me and not feeling like just because I had this situation on my hands that now I wouldn't be able to become successful, that maybe that would, ruin my career. And for them to still believe in me and give me the opportunity and chance, that meant a lot.
Oh, Dad, I had never even thought about that. Was that something that you ever thought about? Did you think I'm going to have to choose between these two worlds?
What worlds?
In terms of the world that you had at home with your daughter and boxing, or did you always feel like boxing is going to be the route for us all to kind of get out of it?
Yeah, I had never lost that feeling. Like, I mean, to this day, that feeling still is like so strong within me that this is going to work out. But like, yeah, definitely in that moment, I felt like that was the only thing that was going to get us up out of that. I mean, like I said, there's not like a whole lot of resources where I come from or super prestigious jobs or careers in Ashland City. You would have to go to Nashville, you would have to go to Clarksville, you would have to go to other places to, get some type of maybe prestigious job. So I always felt like that boxing was going to be, our way out. But so, yeah, they gave me that opportunity, and, Aaliyah was still here during that time. And it was nice for her to be able to like come to my pro debut and some of my earlier fights. And
oh, she was ringside for that?
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, she was like ringside like my first five, six fights, five fights.
I think that's one of the reasons that, like, obviously, just following you on social and knowing you from the boxing circuit, it's so cool to see you and Jordan being the incredible team that you are, because anybody who knows your story knows that you've been through such a lot of family tragedy and loss. So you mentioned your daughter who was born with this unknown medical condition. She's basically fighting for her life from the very beginning, right? And then she really sadly dies when she's only 19 months old. You were back in the ring, I think it was 5 months later. I just wonder how you mentally dealt with things in that time. Was boxing your escape? Was that why you were able to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of just like when I was a kid, me and going to that gym from the time I got off the school bus till like 10 o'clock at night, and everything going on at home that was going on, that was like my sanctuary. And so, regardless, it's not like I'm going to be able to make Aaliyah better, and that we still have bills. There's still things that have to be paid for, car notes and phone bills and gas and food and things for Aaliyah. And so, this is my job. This is how I make money. So dad still has to go to work. I can't stay home with her and expect everything to be okay. I have to. So I would, wake up in the morning and go to the gym, and I would come home. I'd be in the hospital for a couple hours with her, and then I would have to leave and go to strength and conditioning and come back. I'd be in the hospital with her. I'd go home, get more clothes, come back, go running, come back, and sleep on this little couch that was in the room, and doctors coming in and out of, the room all night. That would be my camp. That's where I would stay, would be in the hospital. And in between training sessions, I would be in there with her. And then when things took a turn for the worst and, she passed, like within probably like a week, I was back in the gym. And I felt like that was like the only place that I could get that weight lifted off my shoulders, really. Like, boxing is a very meticulous thing, and it's a very challenging thing. So it almost, workouts get to the point where they're so hard, you can't be thinking about other things. There's no way that you couldn't not think about that, but the weight would be somewhat lifted off. And it was difficult though for a while. I would still be in the gym, but I would be like in the gym crying, just tears running down my face throughout my workouts. But I knew that I had to stay there, and that was just like a sanctuary for me, So.
You'd spoken really openly about the fact that one of the promises that you made to her was that you were going to become a world champion and you would bring her that belt, which you did, right? It took around, I think, about 4 years. It's a huge amount of pressure to put in yourself to make that kind of promise to somebody, right? Especially with that much emotion around that. I guess I just always wondered, when you did become world champion, when you won the belt and you were able to take that to her graveside, did that feel like joy to you, or did it feel like relief? Like, what was the emotion?
Well, just, going to that fight with Jose, just, the people saying what they were saying about like how the fight was going to turn out. And I just knew, like, it doesn't matter what happens in this fight. I don't care if I have to die in here. There's no way that I'm not winning this fight. So obviously get my hand raised, that was like, other than it just being one of the hardest things to do, being able, knowing that I kept that promise, that was like joy and relief at the same time, really. So, and then in that moment of getting my hand raised, and then obviously when I was able to take it to her, that was, it's not like we got to do everything that a father and daughter get to do, take her to prom, or, her go to prom, right, or see her do her first this or her first that, So for me to be able to keep that promise, it meant a lot. It meant a lot to me, so.
Mm-hmm. There was also the situation around your mom, right? Which is another really hard family loss that you've had to deal with, where your mom was killed in an officer-involved shooting. She was shot by a policeman. I guess I just wonder, how has that grief affected you? Because it's a lot to deal with, right?
Yeah. I mean, just keep putting one foot in front of the other, really. I mean, it's like, what do you do? Nobody knows right. What to do in those moments. So you just got to keep going. If you quit, you're not going to get anything out of it. But if you keep going, it's going to hurt too. But, at least you get something out of it. So it's like, you're going to feel the pain of discipline, or you're going to feel the pain of regret. And both are hard. I've been broke. I've had no money. I've stolen from stores to eat food, and that's hard. That's difficult. I haven't had money to pay bills, and I've had things turned off. I grew up in a trailer. When I first came home, I slept in a dresser drawer. My parents didn't have a crib for me. I've been broke. I've been at the bottom, and that's hard. And I've also had money. and I've had nice things, and that's hard too, because it's hard to obtain those things. Those things don't just come, and both of them are difficult. So, but at least with one of them, you get something out of it. And so, just not quitting and not giving up. I just, from an early age, I knew like if I quit, then it's gonna be messed up forever. But you just gotta keep going.
Was there ever a fight for you that made you feel like I really made it now? This is it?
No, not really. I mean,
But so do you still not feel like you made it? You must feel like you made it.
No, I haven't made it. I don't feel like I've made it. I don't, it's not just a soundbite that sounds cool. Like I have, because it goes back to like, I'm not doing this for money. So like I need boxing accomplishments. That's what I'm in this for. So becoming an all-time great, becoming a legendary fighter, becoming, immortal. I have had a lot of people who, not just my mom, not just my brother, Jordan, not just Aaliyah, but I've taken a lot of other losses too, and when people leave you early, it almost like it terrifies you of dying, and so like I'm working really, really hard to become immortal so that I don't have to be worried about dying. I don't have to be scared of dying. I know that regardless of what happens in my name, will live on forever, and I'm not there yet. I haven't accomplished those things to be able to put myself in a position to rest easy on that. And, I've said this before a lot of times, like becoming a world champion was a goal, but it wasn't the goal. So there's still a lot for me to accomplish in the sport.
What did it change for you becoming a world champion?
Nothing really, just continuing. Nothing didn't change anything. It's just, I accomplished a goal, and so now it's off to the next one. That's what it was for me. It was relief knowing that I kept that promise. It was a relief knowing that I kept that promise to myself of becoming a world champion. It was a relief, proving people wrong and proving myself right. But I mean, after those feelings wear off, then it's like I'm just searching for the next thing to accomplish and do.
You had that incredible moment after you won the world title where you proposed to Jordan, right? Which was really special to watch. Do you think you would have proposed if you hadn't won? Was there like a plan B for the proposal, or it would have happened then anyway?
B. No, okay. I wasn't going to lose no matter what. So that's how, if that doesn't tell you, I knew so much that I was going to win that I had that planned afterwards. I had everything set up and planned. So, there was no what ifs there. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't going to happen.
Do you visualize a lot?
Yeah. I'm big into that. It's not like you don't see me at a lot of the fights or partying or drinking or out with people. I go to the gym, I come home, and I plot and I think on what's next. And, I feel like that's, you gotta have some silence in your life so you can hear yourself think. And I feel like there's so many distractions with social media and video games and even just music and just being around people where you can't hear yourself think. You gotta be able to get away and be in some silence where you can talk with yourself and hear yourself think and plot and, dream and, manifest almost what you want next and what you want to accomplish next. So, yeah, I do that.
So when you're working towards what you want next, are the things that you want to see differently from yourself in the ring? Are there specifics that you're working on?
Again, not too much, just a couple of little things here and there because, I show that I'm right there at it, and then I just got, I got clipped with a good shot. And so the goal for me is to, boxing is something that you can't master. It's never ending. It's forever ongoing. So, my goal is to just get as close as I can to mastering boxing and mastering my craft. And because that'll never be able to happen, I'm working so diligently at it just to see how far along that I can get before it's time to, be done with this sport. Boxing doesn't last forever. So until then, because I don't have a lot of time, I'm using it, as wisely as possible.
Do you have a time limit by when you'd like to get out?
No, I don't. I'm not going to put any limits on myself of, I'm going to, the way that I eat, as healthy as I eat, as much as I train, as much damn water as I drink. I'm gonna be
How
here.
much water?
I drink like a gallon of water like 365 days a year, really.
Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah, I got, no matter where I'm at or where I go, I always got my gallon with me. I know it's not as cool looking, but whatever has to be done for me to get as far along as I can, in mastering my craft. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. I'm gonna be on it. I'm gonna be doing it because I take this very serious.
You take a break from that kind of intense discipline ever? Like, let's say straight after a fight, do you give yourself a period of time where you kind of blow out and you'll eat what you want and live how you want to live?
Yeah, I mean, after a fight, I'll rest from the gym and eat, certain meals or whatever. But because I don't drink, I don't party, I don't do that. But even like after a fight, I don't drink, I don't do any of that stuff. So because I'm always so on it, it doesn't hurt if I do have a Coke. It's not gonna hurt me if I take a break from the gym or have pizza and this and that. Even now, I eat pizza and you know eat certain junk food and meals. But when you're doing it, 95% of the year, you can have fun really when you want
Right.
because it's not going to interrupt what you got going on. It's not going to set you back. It's not going to hurt you. So
Every so often, Jordan will post these crazy looking cookies on Instagram, and I always wonder, does Caleb eat those?
yeah, I eat them. I don't eat too much of them, but I eat them sometimes.
I hear you. She's your wife, just talking about her. She's super talented. She's obviously in that boxing world. That's how you guys met. She works for Fox. She hosts fights and works as a reporter ringside. She does the same with PBC. It must be interesting working in the same arena. Do you think that's been a plus for you guys? Because sometimes you can be too involved in the same thing, right? Do you think that's been a positive?
Like be too involved. I'm making sure I
You know,
understand.
some people want to break from their partner, right? And other people really enjoy being in that same atmosphere and having that much in common. Is that something that you guys really benefit from?
Yeah, but and also Jordan's not like annoying. You know what I'm saying? So she's easy to be around. She's easy to deal with.
Right.
She's not someone who's going to nag. She's not somebody who's going to try and be distracting. She's not somebody who, her personality is like kind of perfect for mine. She is a really serious person. She is always trying to make sure she's doing the right thing and, trying to make sure that I'm always doing the right thing too. It's not like she has to be on me too much about that because I'm obviously doing it on my own. But,
Mm.
regardless of whatever way she can support me, she's going to be there to do that. And boxing's our life. It's not like something we really get tired of or want to break from or, she's a Division I athlete, 100-meter hurdler. So she knows what it's like to be a top athlete and to have to be focused, have to be disciplined, have to, do this and that. She's lived that life. So it's easy for her to, know what I have to do and when I have to do it.
Mm-hmm. She's pregnant. You're going to have a baby. You're going to have a baby girl, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, how excited are you?
I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited. Just to, be a dad and to be able to, you know, do what dads do, support their kids and be there for them and, push them and discipline them and just, raise them and teach them. I'm excited for all that. I've had, some really good role models in my life, strong male figures in my life that have taught me, what that means and how important that is to have that in somebody's life. And so I know what it looks like. And so for me to be able to be that person and do that, that's exciting for me as well.
Having gone through what you went through with your baby girl, Aaliyah, does it make pregnancy and things like that like an anxious time, or are you just able to really enjoy this time?
Um, I mean, I'm enjoying it. I got faith everything is gonna go just fine. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
I'm not the type of person to be like, oh, I'm it. I'm sure if I'm being 100% honest, there's a part of me that's, you know, questioning or wondering or whatever. But really, I know that everything is gonna be good. I know that everything is gonna be just fine. So
You're like a boxing power couple, right? The two of you. Are we going to see a baby plant then at your fights? Is that going to be ringside for you? Some fighters really like to have their kids there, and other fighters just don't want it. It sounds like you took Aaliyah, so I'm assuming you take the new baby too.
yeah, she'll be there and grow up to see her dad become a world champion again and be at the fights and it's a family affair for us whether it's my dad or me, Jordan, my stepmom, our daughter on the way. This is what we do. So
Mm-hmm. When did you say she's due?
um this fall, September.
Okay, so maybe not for your next fight, depending on when that gets made.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll
Y'all
see.
just have to tune
What
in.
about are you still thinking? I'm imagining you would have maybe hoped to get out twice a year. You feel like the kind of fighter that likes to be active and likes to be in the ring. Does it look like it's only going to be once for you this year now?
We'll see. We'll see. Right now I'm just focused on this. I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to focus on the task at hand, and that's handling business with the next fight that's coming up. And as soon as that's over with, I'll get with my team, and we'll figure out what's next. But until then, I just want to stay focused on one fight at a time.
Do you have a preference for who that next fight is?
This next one coming up?
Yeah.
Like I said, just the biggest name that we can possibly get. And, there's been...
But do you put a call into Al or to Luis and do you say, listen, these have been my preferences?
Just stay tuned.
Okay, fine.
And, like I said, I want to get the biggest possible name I can. I don't want to just go in there with some no name or someone that people have never known before, never heard of. I want to get the biggest name that I possibly can, and nothing signed yet, nothing is sealed or delivered yet. And as soon as that's possible, I'm gonna be sure to let my fans know, let the boxing world know that way they can, mark their calendars.
Okay, how about this? If when the fight is released and when you do tell us who it is, are people going to be excited? Is this going to be something where people go, "Oh wow, I didn't expect this fight"?
I think so. I think that the fans will be excited about it. I think that they'll be, I think they'll be excited.
Okay.
If it works out, like I said, we don't have anything locked in yet. So there's, numerous ways that this thing could go. But, I'm hopeful for the best opportunity possible. So.
Okay, a few quick random questions to finish, right? How many pairs of sneakers do you own?
I don't know. Over 100. I don't have just like, hundreds and hundreds of shoes, but I make sure that the ones that I have, they're going to be quality top.
You're a sneakerhead. Yeah, you're a sneakerhead. Jordan's a sneakerhead. The new baby girl, how many sneakers has she got already?
She's got a handful. Yeah, she's already got a handful, especially from like family and stuff like that. Knowing that we're into sneakers and shoes and fashion and stuff, they already got her hooked up with some shoes, so she'll be ready.
So if you could only wear one pair of sneakers for the rest of your life, which ones are you wearing?
That I own or that?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, it can be anything.
That I own, it would probably be like my 86 ones. I got some 1986 Chicago ones, and it's like Michael Jordan's rehab shoe. He broke his ankle in like one of his early years, and then Air Jordan, they made him like a rehab shoe. And I got a pair of those, or I don't know. I got like some Chrome Heart, Chuck Taylor, some Converse that I like. Probably the ones though.
Yeah. Do you consider yourself the best dressed boxer?
Absolutely.
You do?
I would say so.
Who would be in your top 5 of best dressed boxers all time?
I don't know. If you ain't first, you last. So I mean.
Okay, who's last? Who's the worst dressed boxer?
The worst. I don't know. I ain't gonna throw nobody under the bus.
You know that the way you laughed means you had somebody in mind, right?
Oh no.
Low riders, you're into those too as well, right? What is it about that whole culture that you find cool?
Just classic cars in general. Something I've always been a fan of, and I remember being there's a place back home called Food Line. It's kind of like a low key grocery store, and me and my dad will always be in there looking at the magazines, flipping through the old school car magazines, being like, oh man, one day it'd be nice to have this or have that, or one day when boxing works out, I'm gonna have this or I'm gonna have that, and just keeping those same childhood dreams, even when I got to where I'm at now, just wanted to get those big toys, and so yeah, I got a 1964 Impala, I got a 72 Chevelle, both super sports, and I just see so many boxers as well too. They got like Lamborghinis or Ferraris or stuff like that, and I just feel like me doing what I'm doing and liking what I like and having what I have is something different. Not every big time pro boxer has those cars, and so that's what I like. And so I don't want to just have what everybody else is having, but it's genuine for me because those are the cars that I grew up loving and liking. So first car I ever had, it was like this Jeep Grand Cherokee. I was landscaping it, so I saved up this money to get this Jeep. And man, that thing gave me so much trouble. Like, I don't know if it was the fuel pump or the water pump or whatever it was, but it's like I could drive somewhere, I could start it up and drive somewhere, but then when I got there and went to leave, for some reason it would not start back up. I could not get that car to start. And I would drive to the boxing gym like 45 minutes away, knowing that when I get ready to leave the gym tonight, it's not going to start. And it's like, I really didn't care. Not even to sound like corny or cliche, but like, I really did not care about what was going to happen for me getting home to the gym. I just knew that I had to get there, and then I would figure the rest out later. And so I would drive that car to the gym. Every time it would take hours to start up, hours to start up. And sometimes like I couldn't even get it started back up. Like a buddy or a friend would have to take me home. And then the next day when I came, I could drive it home because it would start up. But that was something that I'm glad it's gone.
All right. Listen, I appreciate you. I know I'm taking a lot of your time. Thank you so much. It's good to talk to you.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciate you.